All right, guys, today I want to do a real quick video talking about the Hurricane engine, and I want to go into some of the technical details around the high output version. I wish I was standing in front of my new RHO. It's getting built soon, but I do want to at least look under the hood of this Hurricane, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff I just recently saw at the Mopar and Direct Connect booth at the Woodward Dream Cruise that I want to kind of show that's really interesting about the Hurricane engine that I think is going to be awesome for people looking for performance. So this is just the standard output Hurricane, which is the 420 horsepower version. And what I want to kind of look at here is a few things under the hood. So first off, what we're going to talk about is, no surprise, look how much room there is. You can see grass and daylight on both sides of this engine. One of the reasons I think this is awesome is for future serviceability. I mean, I'm putting my hand through here really easily, changing pulleys, and there's just a lot of serviceability here, which I really like. But the thing I want to kind of talk about specifically today is this turbo design. So these turbos are actually an air to water intercooler, whereas some of the competitive 6-cylinder engines that are in the full-size truck, they're an air to air intercooler. There's a pros and cons to each, but I'm really interested in why Ram decided to go on the Hurricane air to water, because there's a lot of benefits in the performance that you can pull more heat out of your air intake temps for more performance. This has been an issue I've seen personally with EcoBoosts. When you're using them off-road, you'll watch your air intake temps jump, and there's a lot of people that talk about this and how much performance you lose when your air intakes start getting higher. You'll watch the engine lose 60-80 horsepower, and it's been proven on dynos. But what's really stinking cool that they did on the twin turbo Hurricane on the standard output and the high output is what's sandwiched right over here. It's going to be kind of hard to see over here, but it's actually a air to water intercooler sandwich down here. So what's awesome about that is, and if you notice, see, you got two different reservoirs here. That's part of the system. What's nice is this system, if you're familiar, and there's a lot of technology, I won't deep dive on this, but the F-150 EcoBoost, Power Boost, all the different EcoBoosts, they don't do this tile technology. They do air to air. The reason you typically do air to air is for a few reasons. Number one, it's a lot cheaper to do air to air. You don't have additional plumbing, it's lighter weight, but there's downsides. Number one, a lot of times you get more boost lag, where if you got all the piping you have to fill to build boost through your intercooler to get boost in your engine. So you get a little more lag a lot of times. Not always. You can design around that, but just generally speaking. The other thing that's awesome, and I just briefly touched on this about air to water versus air to air, is the cooling. You could pull a lot of hot air out when you're building boost in an air to water intercooler. And actually, I'm already talking to some companies about possibility of some upgrades where we could potentially look at areas to use things like this. That's going to be for a future video. I don't want to give this away quite yet, but there's going to be some performance mods you're going to be able to do to the Hurricane that's going to be sick, that you can't do to the Hemi, because number one, it didn't have an intercooler, it wasn't boosted, and you couldn't do to any of the EcoBoost because it's not an air to water intercooler. But you can take some of the technology built into the vehicle and even cool your air down even more to make even more power. So I'm going to talk about that, as I mentioned, later on down the road, but there's going to be some fun, I think, to be had with this Hurricane. But also, check out, honestly, it doesn't really look that hard. If you had to get in here to change some turbos, I mean, man, there's 6 to 8 inches of room here between this, even just some of your standard wiring. We're not even removing anything. It looks like it'd be much easier to get into this. And I'm wondering if they went to the air to water intercooler, because companies like BMW, when they did their inline 6-cylinders, they did a lot of that technology as well. All right, here's the crate engine for the all new Hurricane twin turbo. So let's see, this has got to be the high output motor. I'm just looking at the horsepower, 550 horsepower. Okay, I want to dive into this. If you notice, the details are very, very vague. Here's what I mean. I don't see anything speaking about the internals of the engine. Are they forged, pistons, whatever? I'm not seeing anything there. I find that interesting. It doesn't provide those details on a crate engine. So then you ask yourself, why are they keeping it so vague and just putting basic terminology like direct injection fuel premium? Could there be more to this engine that they're not leading onto, especially when you look at the price of $13,000. I know to some that might seem like a lot of money, but in actuality, for an engine making this power with twin turbos, and that's MSRP by the way, so 13,000 I could easily see end up being more like $11,000. I don't think that's actually that bad when you compared it to Hellcats and everything that is in the 25 plus $1,000 range. Now, if we compare that to the Ford 5-liter Coyote out of the Gen 4 Mustang or F-150, you're looking at $11,500, and this is a standard engine. It's, yes, those motors do make power and hold power pretty substantially, but there's no turbo, no supercharger, nothing on there. So I don't think the pricing is that out of alignment for the high output engine. Mounted intercoolers, $13,000. Check out the part number. But I was just kind of checking out the construction. What do we got here? Is this one of the air-to-air intercoolers, air-to-water? Yep. Feeding into both turbos. Twin turbo inline. Check out this manifold design. It actually looks like it's casted into the heads. That's awesome because you don't actually have to worry about the manifolds breaking. So you just be a pretty easy bolt on actually. So I want to elaborate a little bit on this casted manifold off the side of the head. This is phenomenal. So the reason I'm a big fan of this is if you follow some of the boosted gas engines in the past, specifically the 3.5 liter EcoBoost that Ford came out with, good engine, but it has a common failure where some of the bolts break that hold on to the engine. I think it's partially due to the weight of the turbo, and just over time you get the expansion and contraction. It just fatigues those bolts. That's not uncommon. You hear about this with other manifolds. This is why if there's any time where you can get rid of a manifold bolt, just like in the construction of this, I think this is a great upgrade. See your actuators for your solenoids, boost gauges. Looks pretty sweet. Huh. Pretty well done. Man, this thing is going to be so sweet.
You want a sticker, sister kicker? Oh, she's the one who started it all?
There we go. There's going to be more on this air-to-water intercooler situation in the Hurricane to come. I think companies are going to start dabbling with this, and this could be awesome for those looking for that performance to add even more power. There could be a lot of neat things to do with this versus an air-to-air intercooler. I know some people, including myself, not some, a lot of people are bummed out the V8 is gone. I'm not going to dismiss this Hurricane yet, because if we look at the past and the technology, these inline 6-cylinders, look at the 2JZ, look at a lot of those, the Barra, look at some of these engines that people made big power. There's already a lot of hype with direct connect to making a 1,000 horsepower inline 3-liter turbo setup that's a crate engine. So it makes me think they really built this engine to survive some harsh environments and making a lot of power. So I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to be continuing to bring more RHO content, hoping this thing's going to be right around the corner. Hey, if you like the video, feel free to give me a like, and if you really like the video, feel free to subscribe. If you do, turn those notifications on. And I hate to bring that up, there are a lot of channels being missed because the new algorithm with YouTube, people are not getting the exposure that people in the past did. So feel free to do that if you enjoy my content. Have a good one.